Hi, girls. Merry Christmas. Thank you all for joining me for the Surviving Silly Season Google Hangout. How to have a good time, but also keep your bikini body here for summer. Just before we get started, for some of you girls that are listening and you want to be able to ask
but also
questions,
keep your bikini body here for summer.
Hold on for a second because I can hear myself.
Just before we get started, for some of you and you want.
Uh-oh. No. Hold on. Oh, there we go. Sorry about that. Yeah, so for some of you guys that are listening and you want to ask questions, if you go to the box on the left-hand side, there's a Q&A box, which you will click, and there should pop up on the other side a white box where you guys can ask questions, or maybe it's down below for you guys. So you can ask any question anytime, and I'll repeat it, say it back to you guys, answer it, and then you've got it, and we can kind of build from there. This is a great time of year, and it's the time of year that a lot of people get very nervous about. It tends to be the time of the year that people feel out of control. Anxiety's high. They don't quite know how to control themselves. Like, they spent all year tracking macros, losing weight, getting to, they want to be, and then this week comes and it's like they just can't control themselves. And I think a big part of that is setting yourself up with your mindset. Telling before you, that's a no-no. That's always you're just giving yourself an out to while you might fail. This is the time of year where you plan ahead. I know that I have in the past suffered. I used to get really, really anxious when Christmas would come, because I didn't know how to control myself, and I didn't really enjoy Christmas time. Now I love it because I know exactly what I need to do, and it's a time where you enjoy having a few drinks or having dessert and seeing friends and being with family, and you guys work so hard, for the rest of the year. It's not going to kill you having a day or two that you don't track your macros and you eat foods that you don't normally eat. So here are some of my top tips to help you kind of stay in control. The first one is plan ahead. You always know when you're going to have a day out or a night out, or your lunch is on. You've obviously got the family dinners, all that kind of stuff. So you need to adjust the rest of your macros accordingly. One thing I do, normally I have a shake in the morning with protein, banana, milk, almond spread. It's full of other ingredients. On the days that I know that I'm going to have, today I've got a lunch on with the girls, and then I've got dinner with my parents. Like, when I wake up, I'm going to have protein with some water. I'm going to have one slice of bread with my eggs instead of two. I'm going to cut my coffee down to a piccolo. So I'm not cutting everything out, but I'm just rearranging things so that when I have lunch, I know that I've got a little bit more room to play around with. And generally after lunch, I might have a protein shake between that if I'm hungry before dinner. Depends on how I'm going. But I just try and keep it as really low calorie as I can, because I know that, for lunch and dinner, I've got really big meals that are going to take up my fats and carbs, which are kind of harder to, especially the fats, the oils, kind of harder to balance out. But at least you've got a bigger window and it's not going to throw you out too much. Share desserts. Sharing's caring. You can still indulge, a few. You actually feel better having a few, spoonfuls, and eating the entire thing and sitting back and being like, oh my God, I've got to undo my pants because I can't actually move. Like, you don't really want to be rolling out of a restaurant. It doesn't feel that comfortable. You're going to be in a beautiful dress, or, when you're like, I know in previous times I've been to a family lunch and I'm like, oh, I am so tired now. I've just eaten way too much food and I feel really uncomfortable. It's like kind of ruins the mood of seeing everyone. It's like, oh my God, just step away from the table, put the stuff in the bin and go hang out with people that you like, your family and friends that you haven't caught up with in ages. Get yourself away from
Merry Christmas.
Get yourself away from the food table. You know, when you hover around like a seagull, you know you're gonna start picking. So, you know, step away from it. Go and be active with the kids. Go and catch up with a relative that you haven't seen in a long time. Doing whatever you can to keep yourself from the table so you stop eating. That's a pretty big one. Having a couple of drinks. So for girls that don't know how to track their alcohol intake, I generally take it from my carbohydrates. So I'll take, say it's 120 calories for a glass, and I'll divide those 120 calories divided by 4. And that's going to take, what's that? How much is that?
It's 30.
So it's taking 30 grams of carbs. I like, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So drink, like, and that's fine, but drink water in between your wines, and, you know, maybe don't have dessert. So it's like you kind of got to give and take. You can't have everything at once. You can't sit there and eat potato and have a wine and then have dessert. Like, that's really going for it. As I said, you know, share dessert with everyone. So, you know, that does allow you to have the wine and the dessert. But maybe keep your dinner just protein and vegetable based, so that the wine's a carbohydrate. You've got protein, you know, fish or chicken, something light, and then you got a salad with that or vegetables, and then you can have a little bit of dessert after. And then the best thing to do is go out dancing after that. So, I mean, I know with my family events, we generally put music on and we're kind of running around for kids, or we're, you know, having a bit of a dance with my aunties. That's actually a kind of good idea. Or if you're having a nice dinner, you know, go somewhere that's got some good music and have a dance for 2 hours. Dancing burns like 250 calories in 1 hour. So that's pretty much so for 1 hour, that's like a glass or 2, you know, that you're burning off that, you know, you don't have to worry about. And I mean, dancing is great for the soul. Who doesn't love good dance? I know that last weekend when I went out dancing, my legs were sore from, like, I got to the point where I was like, I can't slut drop any more than what I'm doing right now. Like, I'm going to have to go into a quarter squat because I can't move. But I felt so good after it. And we went out for pizza and had wine. And I mean, I had 1 scoop of the tiramisu and it was amazing, but we shared it with everyone. So, I didn't feel like I'd blown out my food for the day, or I wasn't feeling uncomfortable. I actually could walk out of there instead of rolling out of there. And it's much more of an accomplishment knowing that you've just, you know, you've had a good time, you've enjoyed the food, and you've also really controlled. I mean, a lot of us put ourselves down when we feel out of control. So to walk out of a situation and feeling in control, like, oh my God, normally I would eat a whole pizza or a whole pasta, or I'd have like 3 desserts, like to walk out and be like, I had a little bit of this and I feel pretty good now. You know, you can go and sleep softly and soundly and not like you're going to vomit when you're lying on your stomach. What else? Stay really hydrated. A lot of the times we mistake hunger for thirst. And generally at this time of year, when you're not training, or when you're out of your normal schedule, so like when you go to work and when you train, you generally have a bottle of water. So you drink a liter in the water in the morning. Then throughout the day, you sip your water. So you generally drink about 3 liters a day, and that kind of keeps your hunger at bay. So you've got that pretty good structure and you're feeling controlled. I know that personally when I wake up late in the day, my food and my water is like, oh my God, I've got to try and fit it all in. Or I'll get to the end of the day and like, oh my God, I've only drank a liter of water. And I'm wondering why I'm feeling a little bit tired, a little bit sloppy, because I'm dehydrated. Same for you guys. If you're having foods like high in salt, high in sugar, and the alcohol, it's going to dehydrate you and it's going to leave you feeling quite puffy and heavy in the face. Get that water into you. 1, you're going to eat less. You're going to feel better staying hydrated, and you're going to drink less as well. What else? keep training. One of the best things to do is, especially when you're on holiday, and I know some of you are going away and you haven't got a gym, that's fine. It doesn't matter. Like, just do anything. Just do something that gets your heart rate going, gets you burning some calories while you're not in the gym and while you're, your eating is a little bit off. Skipping. I'm going to bring a skipping rope when I go to Queensland. Go walking with your mum, or go dancing with friends. Go, do some sprints in the park or in the hill, or take someone for a walk. Go with your daughter, go with your kids, spend some time with them and get them out being active. Just do something. Go swimming, surfing, walk along the beach. It's summertime. It's the best time to be outside. You don't have to be stuck in a gym, and you don't have to feel bad about it. Like, you can do body weight exercises. They're just as good. Anything is better than nothing, and don't break the habit. I know that I went out on the weekend and I didn't train till Wednesday, yesterday, and I felt pretty lethargic because I hadn't trained, and I was pretty run down, lack of sleep, but I still, you just got to get into it. Just start doing anything that you enjoy doing. You might just start running, or you might start walking on the beach, and you might start lunging on the beach, or you might start, going to the park and walking around the park and lunging around the park and doing push-ups on the bench. And, as soon as you just get started, you'll start to feel really good. Your heart will be elevated, and you'll start to enjoy yourself a little bit more. Sometimes I know it's just that point of getting started is the hardest bit, but you'll always feel better after doing it. Another one of my points is be realistic. A lot of you, and this is what I used to do, and it was a big mistake, I would be really strict to myself. I knew that I was going to be around lots of different foods, and I'd tell myself I wasn't going to eat it. I was like, no, this is what I'm eating. And I'd be more strict than what I was during the week on my own. I was like, nah, you're not eating this, you're not eating this. And then I'd go and eat that food, and I'd feel really bad about myself. And then I would tend to, because I felt bad about myself, I felt like I was failing, and then I would tend to binge. And then I was back in that cycle of, I feel out of control, I really don't like Christmas, it's not a good time for me. But I was too strict in the beginning. So be realistic. If you know what foods are going to be around, you know that there's going to be really nice roast, and there's going to be stuffing, and there's going to be those little pudding things. Put it into your macros. Tell yourself you're going to eat it. And then just know that the other food around that lunch, that dinner, that breakfast is going to have to be pretty clean, pretty just basic, bit of protein, some vegetables or whatever. But don't restrict yourself from enjoying that meal or those foods when you know deep down in your soul you love that and you want to have some. One thing I do as well, and what I did when I was in Bali with my family and I was in the comp prep, we'd go out to beautiful dinners, and I would have like half a glass of wine, and I would share the dessert with my mum, because I was like, you know what, I'm at this beautiful restaurant and I know that I can have a little bit of something, and I've left my macros to do that. And so sharing with my mum, I was like, yeah, that's enough for me. I feel pretty good. And I could walk out of there knowing that I hadn't, blown my hard work. I woke up at 6 a.m. and trained for an hour and a half, and I was going to go and blow it on, eating a big dinner and dessert. I knew that I had to, I knew that we're going out that night. I knew that I wanted to have some dessert, and I said, Mum, will you help me? I just want to have half. Perfect. Tell the people around you that, if you're someone that tends to binge around that time, and you've got someone that is a family member and knows that that's your bad time, tell them, say, hey, I actually really don't like this time of year just because of that this is something that happens to me. Can you please, help me today? And of course they're going to help you. They don't want you to feel that way. They want you to have just as good time as anyone else. So that was one thing that I used to do as well with my mum when I had a little bit of trouble, finding my way and being able to deal with social situations that I wasn't quite ready for yet. And that really, really helped. Another one is to, Sorry, I've had a mind blank. Does anyone have any questions that you might have about surviving silly season? If you do, you can pop them in the box next to me. I'm just gonna jump. I think I've pretty much cleared everything. I'm a bit of a fast talker. Oh, damn it! Really slow. What else? Another way another way of doing your macros for that you can take it from fats as well. So if you're someone that, like, it just depends on if you're going to an Italian, or if like you know that most of your foods is going to be carb based, and you want to have a pizza, then take the alcohol from your fats, or your fats from the alcohol. So it leaves you a little bit more room to have the pasta and the heavier carb meal. I think that's actually all of it. I really wanted to bring in a mistletoe because I wanted to kind of show you guys how you can always be kissed under a tree for Christmas. So my way of always getting a kiss for Christmas under a mistletoe is to always have one with you. So that if you're at a party, or if you're at a family thing, or even an office thing, I don't know, maybe it's a bit too late for this one, and you've got a mistletoe in your pocket, then all you have to do is do this over the boy or the girl that you want to kiss, and then they have to kiss you because you're under mistletoe. So you can't kind of fail with that one. You can take that everywhere with you, and I was trying to buy one so I could show you, but I also needed someone to kiss, so it wasn't actually going to work. What else is there? If you, with your meals, if you're having multiple ones in one day, if I was you, I would take out your snacks. Thanks, Freya. Hold on. If you've got, for me, like today, I've got lunch and dinner. Generally, I'll have just like a shake of protein in the morning with just water, so that my lunch and dinners will take my fats and carbs and the protein. And if I'm really under my protein, I can just have a protein shake either between lunch and dinner or before bed. Because generally when we stop tracking macros, it's your protein that falls short, and it's your fats and carbs that go over. So what we want to do is still make sure you've got that protein in there. We don't want to undo all our hard work, but then we're still going to keep our calorie consumption a little bit lower. When you're doing portion control, when you guys are picking out your food, you've got a table full of food, a really good way to guesstimate, because I'm going to guess that most of you won't be really tracking your macros, 100% some days, go by your hand size. So protein the size of your hand is roughly about 120 grams of protein, cooked protein. Then you want fist is like the size of a fist. Carbs is the size of your fist. That's generally about a cup size. Then fats, the size of your thumb, is generally about 20 grams. And then you can have unlimited vegetables. You kind of want like a whole cup this way, palm cup of carbs, and that's a good way to know kind of how much you're eating. Once you finish one plate, don't go back for seconds. You don't really need it, but then also don't load your food up, like your plate up, so it's like a mountain. I know for me, I find it really hard not to finish everything on my plate. So if I load everything up, and I always eat the thing I don't like the most first. So like I've ended up leaving the best thing at the end, and I'm so full, and I'm like, that's my favorite, so I eat it. So it's actually a really bad habit, because I should actually eat the things I like first, so that when I'm full, but like, you know what, I actually don't like that, I don't need that, and I can throw it away. When you're going to get your foods out, say, okay, I just want, if you want multiple bits of protein, well, you know, just have a slither of this, a slither of this, a slither of this. You've hit your protein. You know, if you want multiple salads, generally your salads are cool, but they're gonna be full of oil. So just be aware that the oils is gonna be your fats. And your carbs are going to be, you know, if you want multiple carbs, again, you know, if you want some potatoes, just have a couple of potatoes. Or have potatoes and then don't have dessert. You don't have to have everything. Plus, if you're going to go out for dinner later on, like save that for dinner. Save that for later. There's a question here from Freya. If you have heaps of remaining macros for one thing, i.e. fats, but are perfect in carbs or protein, is it worth trying to fill the fats or risk tipping everything else over? Or is it best to leave them under? Okay, that's a really good question. So if that happens one day and you know you've got another day coming up that you've got lunches, I would keep it under, because the day that you've got another event on, that might tip it over. So you don't really want to, I suppose it depends on how under you are. It's not going to kill you, because this time of year is generally when people are going to do like this. It's going to go over, under, or it's going to go over, 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 and then dramatically under. So if I was you, I just leave it, and then return to a perfect day the next day. If you have a day and you just like completely blow it, like just go to town on food, if you know exactly what you're doing at the time, own that decision and move on. Next day, don't restrict. Next day, you know, get up and do some HIIT training in the park. Do some HIIT training at the gym. Find some stairs. You know, don't train for hours. Train for 30 minutes. At your maximum effort, you know, really give it a good nudge. Know that you've got food in the bank because you've just had a big day of eating. You know, sometimes, because a lot of you have been dieting for a while, if you've been dieting for a while and you have a big day of food, it's actually going to give your metabolism a bit of a kickstart, and it's going to try and burn off as much as it can first before it will store anything. You know, you might actually wake up the next day looking pretty lean. But don't try and then take it off the next couple of days. Just, as I said, own it. Know that you had a great time. Know that that was your decision. Tomorrow's a new day. Back to normal eating. Make sure you train, and then continue eating properly again. You know, for the next couple of days. I think a lot of us waste time on that guilty emotion of, oh, this happened, and oh, I blew out here, and you know, what can I do to get rid of it? It's like, at that time, you have two decisions: control yourself or not. And I think the more times you give yourself that, I'm just going to be out of control and I'll, you know, deal with it later. Well, that was the decision you made, and the way to deal with it is just get on with tracking your macros the next day normally. Don't sit there and it's Christmas. Like, no one wants to see you feeling crap about yourself because you've overeaten. Like, that was your decision. Don't blame someone else. Don't blame it's Christmas. Know that that was your decision. You're going to have it. You're going to eat it. The next day's a normal day, and then go on and be normal. Otherwise, you're going to make it go on, and you're going to ruin like that day of being with family and friends, and that's not really what anyone wants to do. Any other questions that anyone has? No? You know, a good thing to do if you've had a night of eating, or a day of eating, you know, the next day, go and do a good workout. You know, do something that you don't really normally do, or try and hit a PB. Try and hit a PB, like really give it a good nudge. You'll probably feel really good after that food rather than really bad. What is the best approach if you're in a restaurant situation and it's really difficult to try and calculate the macros of the food? What I do in that situation is I'll break the ingredients down to the best of my ability. So say you have say you have steak with oven roasted vegetables and potatoes. It's like there's no harm. Generally, when you get a steak, they'll say like 250 gram or 500 grams. So put that into MyFitnessPal. I would add a tablespoon of oil. Actually, I'd probably add 2 tablespoons of oil, because if you're going to have oven roasted vegetables, they're going to be covered in oil. Then say there's carrots, put carrots in, and you might say 100 grams of carrots or 50 grams of carrots. Go, 100 grams of potato. Probably put butter in there if they've got potato, because I'll probably cut them in butter and oil. Like, really overestimate what you've eaten. That's your best bet. But break down the ingredients, because that's going to give you a better reading than trying to do everything as a whole. That's your better idea. And again, like, if you're going to do, have dessert, try and find, like, there's so many MyFitnessPals. Or you can even, actually, this is the thing, you can actually go into MyFitnessPal, go into the recipe section, type in, say, tiramisu, and you can import the ingredients. This is amazing. This is what I do. Import the ingredients into MyFitnessPal, and it will look up all the ingredients, and all you have to do is put the serving size, so roughly, what serving size you've eaten, and it will calculate all the macros for you, and it saves it. So when Nick and I would go to Bill's and he'd get the ricotta hotcakes, we could go, the way we found how many calories were in and the macros that were in the hotcakes was going online, going into his how to make it, and we imported all the ingredients into the MyFitnessPal, and then we'd break it up into the serving size. And that was really cool. And then it saved it, so he's got it all the time. But that was a really good question, Heidi. What else? Anything else? I think I kind of covered how I do everything. So I'll recap. 1, always plan ahead. Always plan your food around the lunch and dinner that you're going to have. If you know exactly what you're going to have at lunch, pop it into your MyFitnessPal, and just see kind of where you're at. If it changes, it changes. It doesn't really matter. But just know that the food that you eat around your lunch and your dinner, or both, it's got to be really, really low calorie and like clean, in inverted commas. So you might, like as I said, I'll just have a protein shake with water, for breakfast, and a snack. And then my lunch and my dinner are going to take up my carbs and fats for the day, and, share a dessert. Share your foods. That's always a good way to be able to eat a bit of everything without eating everything. If you want to have wine, dessert, and potatoes, just have a little bit, and just know that that's all you need. Waters between wines, and lots of water throughout the day. That's going to help you kind of keep your hunger at bay, keep you hydrated, make you feel a little bit better, make you drink less alcohol, and also save that hangover for the next day. Always train. Don't neglect your training. Don't break bad habits. You still want to do some kind of exercise. Sorry, excuse me. Over the Christmas and the New Year's period. If you can't make it to a gym, it doesn't matter. Go for a walk, go for a swim, go surfing, go dancing, do something in the park with your kids, take a friend, catch up with someone that you haven't seen in a while, and say, instead of eating, let's go for a walk. You're going to be out in the sun. It's the most beautiful, it's summertime here. So get them out walking, get them out moving. They're going to thank you for it. Sorry. What else? Go out dancing, after you've been out for a dinner with everyone. Find a club that you like to go to, or, if everyone's back at a house, put some music on, dance. You're burning about 200, which will help burn off the dessert or the wine. Be realistic. Don't restrict yourself and tell yourself that you're not going to eat all the delicious food that's going to be there at Christmas time. Allow yourself a little bit of the things that you like. Put it into your macros and enjoy it. If you have a day that you completely blow everything out and you feel out of control, own it. Own that decision that you've decided to do it, and move on. Return to your normal macros the next day. Go do a big workout. Make yourself feel good. Put those extra calories to good use. You know, your body's going to really actually thank you for it. If you're someone that's been dieting for a while, you know, having a day of, you know, a lot of food is not always a bad thing. It's just when we do it 3, 4, 5 days, 6 days in a row, that's when it's, you know, not a good thing. If you find that you've hit all your macros except for one, so say you've hit your protein and your carbs and you've got leftover fats, just leave it, because know that, you know, this is the time that you're going to have other lunches and you probably make up for it a little bit later on. If you know that you've got a dinner or a later on, a few days later, you know, you've got a little bit more room to move with those extra fats. But just don't risk throwing out your other macros. Just keep it down there. There was a question here from Maxine. Is it bad not to eat dinner at all if you know you're going to have a big night, like a birthday, for instance? Is that drinking? I mean, that's hard. I used to, when I knew I was going to drink, I never ate dinner. Then I'd get really drunk. And sometimes a lot of people will go and eat shitty food when they've drunk. They'll just stuff their face with crap foods and then they feel really shit about themselves the next day. Or they're so hungry the next day and they're hangover, they tend to overeat and binge that next day. I would have something small to line your stomach and to stop you from being out of control later on down the track. Especially if you're just going to have, you know, a bit of chicken and some veggies, or some fish and some veggies, like that's not going to kill you. It's going to be low calorie anyway, and it's going to hit your protein. Don't neglect your protein. That's your most important meal, and that's the one that people will throw out the window over anything else. If you have a day that's meant to be HIIT only and reduce carbs, but you know you're going to be eating more carbs, can you add a strength session into and do a double day training instead? I wouldn't overtrain. One, you can swap. If I was you, I would swap that training day with something else and do the HIIT the day after, because you'll have more energy in the bank for your HIIT the next day. So just swap your training around. Yeah, so for a lot of the girls that got cardio days and your carbs are reduced, swap it for a weight training day, because your body's going to use up, your body's going to want those carbohydrates to kind of repair itself. So do the HIIT the next day, because if you've eaten a lot that day, you can use the fuel the next day to do the HIIT training, and you'll kind of have that. You know, sometimes you've had a big day of training, a big day of eating, and the next day you're like, all right, let's rep into it. You're going to be able to give your all, like you're literally all out the next day in your HIIT session, and you'll end up feeling pretty good about it. And so it's a good way to kind of balance out the extra carbohydrate intake without deducting it from your macros. Did that answer your question, Maxine? I know that the next day after drinking, I don't feel that great, and I generally can't really eat anything, which is actually my downfall, because I don't eat anything, and then I feel pretty sluggish. A good thing to do is kind of go out for a walk. Just get your metabolism going, get your sweating happening, you know, get some of the alcohol out of your system. Drink lots and lots of water, and then, you know, have a meal, like a healthy meal. Generally, you're going to be over your macros if you've had a few drinks. We tend to put the drinks in the calories in our macros, but we tend to drink a little bit more than we thought we were. So the next thing when you get up, like go out for a walk or, you know, get active and then have something to eat. So you're kind of a little bit more focused. You've had a bit of a sweat, your metabolism's ready, and you can burn a little bit off before you start to eat again. Anything else? I think that's it, guys. I am going to love you and leave you. I think that's it unless something comes up. I hope that helps with everything. I suppose the last thing I'll talk about is mindset. Everyone throws around mindset recently or lately. Apparently there's a study that's done. It's like one of the top words used this year. But it's really powerful. Not a lot of you guys meditate, and I found that meditating, I find it very difficult, but it's very, very, very rewarding. There are days when I feel, you know, a little bit anxious or a little bit out of control, and doing a 10-minute meditation actually really helps me refocus. So if you are someone that gets quite anxious around this time of year, which is normal, it's not weird, it's really normal, then maybe taking that 10 minutes out to focus on you and get your breathing down and bring yourself back into that feeling of control again, that's going to be a really powerful tool for you. If you tell yourself you're going to fail, that's exactly what you're going to do. If you tell yourself you can do this and you've already planned it out, this is what you're eating, this is what you're having, yep, I'm having a little bit of cake because I enjoy it, or yep, I'm going to have, you know, a few glasses of wine because I'm going to be with my mum and I enjoy that and I'm not a big drinker and that's what I want to do. I've put them into my system and I've told myself that's okay, I'm going to do that. You know, I'm still training, I'm going to go for a walk, you know, I'm still doing all these things that are going to help keep my energy balance pretty neutral. But I've also committed to myself that that's what I'm going to do. I've just lost my train of thought. Don't go and over-exercise. You're going to find yourself really tired and really drained, and you're just going to go, you're going to get to the table and you're going to see this food and you're just going to binge. You're going to put yourself in a really vicious cycle. Doing more isn't the answer. It's doing less and staying in control. When you're tired, your body is going to want to have sweets and sugar and carbs. And once you stop, once you start, you're not going to want to be able to stop. You know, do your training, that one training session that's there for you for that day, or go for that walk in the morning. Set yourself up mentally. I can do this, I've got it, I'm going to have a good time, I've got my thing planned. Step away from the table when your food's finished. Step away, go find someone to talk to and hang out with, go for a swim, get in the pool, get in the sun. You know, incidental activity will be awesome for us this time of year, playing with the kids. But don't go doing lots of training, you know, you're worried or you think you've eaten too much. Just, as I said, own it, move on with it. Spend lots of time with your loved ones, tell them how much you love each other, and yeah, that's it. Enjoy your Christmas, enjoy New Year's, have fun. If you wake up with a hangover, it means you had a good time. I think I'll be seeing a lot of you. I mean, I'll be speaking to all of you between now and the New Year's. But I hope you all have a very Merry Christmas. And if you need any more help, you need to talk to someone at this time, I'm always here. So you can hit me up. It's not annoying me. I will get back to you as soon as I can. But I hope all my tips for surviving silly season helps. And lots of love to you all.